The galaxy had studied thousands of intelligent species. Some worshipped machines. Some surrendered before battles even began. Others spent centuries trying to avoid extinction. But there was one species no one understood. Humans. They were fragile. Short-lived. Physically inferior. Their world should have been conquered in days. Yet whenever death approached, humans did something impossible. They smiled. And when the greatest interstellar war in history finally erupted, the galaxy discovered the terrifying truth. Humans never feared death. Because they had been fighting it since the day they were born. The Grand Council chamber floated above the capital world of Illyria. A monument to intelligence. Representatives from over 400 civilizations sat beneath a ceiling made from living crystal. The greatest minds in the galaxy had gathered. Their topic: humanity. Ambassador Kharzeth of the Voss Collective activated the holographic display. A human appeared. Average height. Average strength. Average lifespan. Nothing extraordinary. Kharzeth folded his clawed hands. Explain this. The hologram shifted. Footage from dozens of battlefields emerged. Humans charging impossible odds. Rescuing wounded allies under enemy fire. Pilots refusing evacuation. Civilians risking their lives for strangers. One delegate whispered, "Why do they not retreat?" Another answered, "They understand death. Yet they ignore it." Kharzeth stared at the assembly. "We have recorded 17,000 instances of humans knowingly entering fatal situations." A silence fell. Then the oldest council member spoke. "If they do not fear death, then what do they fear?" No one had an answer. Across the galaxy, fear governs civilization. The Taurians surrendered to stronger enemies. The Vorak abandoned colonies to save resources. The Neth Collective uploaded consciousness into machines to escape mortality. Entire cultures had been built around avoiding death. Humans were different. Their history was chaos. Wars. Disease. Natural disasters. Famine. They had survived ice ages. Meteor impacts. Pandemics. World wars. Economic collapse. Environmental catastrophe. And somehow, they kept rebuilding. Again. And again. And again. Professor Saloon addressed the council. Humans are not fearless. The delegates leaned forward. They simply decided long ago that some things matter more than survival. The chamber erupted into uneasy whispers. Because no advanced civilization could comprehend such logic. Why risk everything? For ideals? Then came the Dominion. The Kharzeth Dominion. An empire forged through conquest. Its fleets darkened entire systems. Its armies erased civilizations. Its doctrine was simple: submission or annihilation. Planet after planet fell. The Dominion exploited one universal truth. Everyone feared death. When their world killers entered orbit, most species surrendered immediately. Within months, the Dominion controlled nearly a third of known space. Their emperor laughed. No one chooses extinction. He had never encountered humans. Earth received the transmission at exactly 3:17 Universal Standard Time. Every screen activated. Every communication channel froze. The Dominion Emperor appeared. Towering. Armored. Cold. People of Earth. You have 1 hour. Surrender your military assets. Accept Dominion governance. Resistance will result in extermination. The transmission ended. Silence spread across Earth. Governments met. Generals gathered. Scientists argued. Millions waited. Then, an elderly nurse in Tokyo returned to work. A firefighter in Chicago finished breakfast. Teachers continued lessons. Construction crews repaired roads. Children laughed in playgrounds. Humanity acknowledged the threat. And kept going. The Dominion watched in confusion. Why wasn't Earth panicking? 58 minutes later. Earth answered. The president stood before the world. No dramatic speeches. No promises of victory. Only truth. We are afraid. Millions listened. Every soldier who fights tomorrow will be afraid. Every parent protecting their child will be afraid. I am afraid. She paused. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding that something else matters more. Her eyes met the camera. If humanity falls, we fall standing. The speech lasted 4 minutes. History would remember every word. Across Earth, volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Doctors signed emergency contracts. Engineers reported to factories. Retired veterans opened old lockers. The Dominion monitored global networks. One phrase repeated endlessly. We stand together. The Dominion fleet entered the solar system. Thousands of warships. Millions of troops. Enough firepower to erase Earth. Admiral Vaynar commanded the invasion. He expected surrender. Instead, human ships moved to intercept. Tiny vessels compared to Dominion cruisers. Primitive. Outnumbered. Outgunned. Dominion officers laughed. Do they intend to die? Admiral Vaynar nodded. Destroy them quickly. The first human destroyer accelerated. Straight toward enemy lines. Then another. And another. No retreat. No hesitation. Dominion scanners detected something impossible. The human crews knew survival probabilities. Less than 5%. They advanced anyway. The battle had begun. On the battlefield, Corporal Elena Ramirez moved through chaos. Explosions tore through corridors. Warning sirens screamed. A wounded Marine collapsed nearby. Leave me. Elena ignored him. She dragged him toward safety. Another explosion. Another casualty. Then another. Her commanding officer grabbed her arm. You'll die. Elena looked back. If I don't go, they will. She ran into the smoke. Again. And again. And again. When the battle ended, she had rescued 17 people. Her injuries would never fully heal. When reporters later asked why she kept returning, she shrugged. They needed help. Dominion analysts studying the footage couldn't understand. Why would someone risk everything? For strangers? Days into the war, Dominion soldiers began reporting unusual behavior. Humans protected civilians before themselves. Pilots sacrificed escape routes to shield allies. Engineers stayed behind to stabilize reactors. Parents volunteered for evacuation missions. Even prisoners helped one another survive. The reports reached Admiral Vaynar. He reviewed hours of footage. His expression slowly changed. Confusion became disbelief. Disbelief became unease. Finally, fear. He addressed Dominion High Command. Our strategies assume enemies value their own survival above all else. He hesitated. The humans do not. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion encountered an opponent they could not predict. Because the most dangerous enemy wasn't one without fear. It was one willing to face fear and fight anyway. The Dominion had expected conquest. Instead, they awakened something buried deep within humanity. A truth older than empires. Older than civilization itself. Humans had never conquered death. They had simply learned how to walk beside it. And soon, the galaxy would witness the moment humanity stopped defending Earth and took the war to the stars. The Dominion expected Earth to beg for mercy. Instead, humanity launched an attack. Not against the nearest fleet. Not against a weak outpost. But directly into Dominion-controlled territory. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief. A species fighting its first interstellar war had chosen offense. Admiral Naomi Pierce stood aboard Earth's flagship, the Resolute. A massive holographic map floated before her. Red markers filled the stars. Dominion worlds. Dominion supply routes. Dominion shipyards. Her officers stared at the impossible mission. A young lieutenant finally asked, "Ma'am, what's our chance of success?" Naomi looked at the projections. 12%. Silence. Then she smiled. Good. The crew exchanged confused glances. She folded her arms. If it were easy, someone else would have done it already. The bridge erupted into laughter. Not because it was funny, but because they understood. Fear didn't disappear. You simply moved anyway. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. For the first time in recorded history, the Dominion knew what it felt like to wait for an enemy. On the mining moon of Varos 9, Private Ethan Cole became a legend. His platoon had been assigned one task: protect the evacuation corridor. 32 civilians remained trapped. Dominion walkers descended from the mountains. Towering machines. Armored. Unstoppable. The human commander issued the order. Fall back. Ethan looked behind him. Families. Children. Terrified workers. Then back at the advancing machines. He removed his helmet. "I'll buy you time." The commander shouted. "That's an order." Ethan checked the ammunition in his rifle. "I know." Then he stepped forward. Alone. The civilians escaped. The platoon survived. Hours later, rescue teams found Ethan. Wounded. Exhausted. Still fighting. When asked why he stayed, he answered softly, "Somebody had to." Across Dominion space, the story spread. The enemy could not understand it. Why would one life be traded for strangers? Humans called it simple duty. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, the debates had changed. No one questioned whether humans were dangerous. Now they questioned why. Professor Saloon activated another report. Thousands of examples appeared. Firefighters entering collapsing buildings. Doctors treating infectious patients. Parents sacrificing for children. Rescue divers swimming into storms. Astronauts launching into the unknown. "Do you see it now?" she asked. A Taurian delegate whispered. "They've always done this." Saloon nodded. Death has followed humanity since the beginning. Predators. Disease. War. Disaster. They never expected safety. They learned to value each other instead. The council fell silent. The truth was horrifying. Human courage wasn't created by war. War had simply revealed what had always existed. Dominion intelligence attempted psychological warfare. They broadcast destruction. Threats. Warnings. Earth would fall. Millions watched. Then something unexpected happened. Children responded. Videos flooded the networks. A little girl holding a handmade sign. My mom is a doctor. She's brave. A boy saluting the camera. My dad says heroes get scared too. A classroom singing songs for deployed soldiers. Messages spread across humanity. Hope. Laughter. Determination. Dominion analysts were disturbed. Even their young understood sacrifice. Admiral Vaynar closed the report. How do you defeat people who teach courage to their children? No one answered. The Battle of Orion Pass lasted 18 hours. Dominion fleets blocked the only route to several occupied systems. They expected another desperate defense. Instead, humanity adapted. Civilian engineers redesigned damaged vessels overnight. Scientists modified targeting systems. Pilots coordinated impossible maneuvers. Marines boarded enemy ships. Everyone contributed. Everyone mattered. As dawn broke over Orion Pass, Dominion ships retreated. The impossible had happened. The Empire had lost. Across occupied worlds, celebrations erupted. Species that had surrendered generations ago stared in disbelief. The Dominion could bleed. And humans had proven it. Admiral Naomi Pierce stood quietly on the bridge. Victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands had fallen. An officer approached. Was it worth it? Naomi looked at the liberated star systems. Ask the people who get to go home. Something extraordinary happened next. Other species stopped running. Talrian volunteers joined human fleets. Vorak engineers repaired Earth vessels. Neth scientists abandoned isolation. One by one, the galaxy remembered something it had forgotten. Courage spreads. A Talrian captain addressed his crew. We spent centuries surviving. He looked toward the stars. Perhaps it's time we started living. The human officers smiled. For the first time, the war wasn't humanity's burden alone. Hope had become contagious. Dominion psychologists demanded answers. What made humans different? They searched endlessly. Biology. Genetics. Evolution. Nothing explained it. Finally, a captured historian offered the truth. You think humans don't fear death? The Dominion officer nodded. The historian smiled sadly. You're wrong. We fear it every day. We cry at funerals. We mourn those we lose. We wish we had more time. The officer frowned. Then why fight? The historian looked toward the stars. Because life matters precisely because it ends. Love matters. Friendship matters. Kindness matters. Every moment matters. If tomorrow isn't guaranteed, then today becomes priceless. The Dominion officer sat speechless. For the first time, he understood. Humanity wasn't fearless. Humanity simply refused to let fear decide who they became.